We cannot put conditions on God. No, we want some control, so we try to put conditions on reality, and then we just attract suffering. We limit God, we limit our experience when we put conditions on reality. If we let reality be, it will show us beauty. It will show us who we are. Acceptance. The ego always wants to change things. But it's funny because the deceived mind or the ego is also afraid of change or of choice. It wants to change everything, but it's afraid of change. Of course, the mind will be very neurotic, anxious. So we want to just come back beyond separation, beyond the first change, into a changeless experience, no matter what changes are happening. And today, the section, the choice for completion, was mentioned, and that's a very helpful choice. To choose completion, to choose God. We have disowned God, so now God seems to be a choice. Which is funny, because it's not really true. Like, we will realize that there was no choice. Reality is, there's no option. But that's beyond dreaming. But within the dream, we seem to need to choose for God, for completion, and choose against our own specialness. And this chapter is very, very straight about specialness. Maybe I read a few lines because it's just very stark. In paragraph 6, it says, the special relationship is a strange and unnatural ego device for joining hell and heaven. Strange and unnatural device for joining hell and heaven and making them indistinguishable. Indistinguishable. Thank you. Well, that's tough. If heaven and hell are indistinguishable, wow, then we're in a complicated situation. We can't tell heaven from hell. And the attempt to find the imagined best of both worlds has merely led to fantasies of both. So in specialness, there is an attempt to find the best of both worlds, to find the best of heaven and hell. And that makes fantasies of both of those, of both heaven and hell, and an inability to perceive either as it is. Like if we perceived hell as it is, we would have nothing to do with it. We want nothing to do with it. But apparently, with specialness, we're trying to mix heaven and hell. And we make fantasies of both, so we don't recognize what is hell. So we can't let it go. We have obscured it. The special relationship is the triumph of this confusion. It is a kind of union from which union is excluded. And the basis for the attempt at union rests on exclusion. He's explaining it as a kind of union from which union is excluded. Wow, how strange. A kind of union from which union is actually excluded. A sort of union, an attempt at union, where real union is excluded. What better example could there be of the ego's maxim, seek but do not find? And then he goes on to talk about how, this specialness in the mind seeks relationships to make itself complete. This small self that feels incomplete will seek others to make itself complete. Actually, you can hear that a lot in romantic relationships, like, you complete me. It's a common expression in the world. You complete me, or my better half, or things like that. It's not even hidden. It's openly expressed, exposed. The littleness.
Might as well say you incomplete me, because I'm incomplete.
That would be more honest, yeah. Yeah. I try to use you to feel better. And Jesus talks about that too, how there is this kind of weird belief that the other person has a hidden treasure in him or her that you want. Like, you want this hidden treasure within the other. You believe that God has hidden something in this other person and you're gonna be out to get it. That's why there's this seeking for special relationships, seeking to be special and seeking to see someone as very special. Yeah, each partner tries to sacrifice the self he does not want for one he thinks he would prefer, to throw away your own self and to try to get the other one's self. And then he feels guilty for the sin of taking and of giving nothing of value in return. My own tragic self, nothing to give, but I want to get something from you, from the other one. Yeah, it's a sad story. Once we start to look at this, we see we don't want it. We don't want that specialness. It doesn't feel good, because you're going to be angry too at the other one that is better, that is projected as better. That's not going to be very satisfying. So the course talks about two thought systems, one of the ego and one of the spirit, and they never meet. There is this lower thought system of the ego and the higher thought system, and both are complete in their own way, and they can never meet. They will never meet. So we want to understand and see, we want to see the ego's thought system so we can let it go, so we can stay in the spirit's thought system. And he talks about this, the ego's thought system, this whole thought system is a carefully contrived learning experience designed to lead away from truth and into fantasy. So it's a designed thought system designed to lead away from truth. Okay, so if we buy into that thought system, we are like in a system that leads away from truth, a carefully contrived learning experience. This is why we talk about unlearning. We need to unlearn this world. Because for every learning that would hurt you, God offers you correction and complete escape from all its consequences. So for every error that we have taught ourselves or that we have learned in this world, God offers freedom. God offers correction. So that's why we can look straight at the error, the false thought system, and escape it. We can escape from all its consequences. And the consequences of the ego thought system, I think of, is like fear, separation, isolation, anxiety, darkness. And this is what we can escape from. And the decision whether or not to listen to this and follow it is but the choice between truth and illusion. So we want to decide to follow the course, follow this. How simple does this choice become when it is perceived as only what it is? Or only fantasies make confusion in choosing possible, and they are totally unreal, these fantasies. This year is thus the time to make the easiest decision that ever confronted you, and also the only one. You know you have only one choice. The one choice that isn't even a choice in the end. It's the natural being. Yeah. Happiness. So follow happiness. Sometimes we just need to say no to the depressed thoughts or feelings. You know, just need to say no inside. Like it's very clear and it's very easy when we realize it. Of course. And we realize that was the easiest choice. Of course, I don't want darkness or fear. And we'll get more and more determined to stay in that, in the right mind, in the spirit's thought system, because it gets so unattractive. You know, you call it the difference. You start to get so sensitive to the difference, like it feels so obvious. So you get more and more vigilant for your right mind.
Just keep thinking about you're saying, just to kind of like say no to the ego thought when it wants to come in. I just keep thinking of that Bob Newhart skit. He plays a therapist. Somebody comes in with a really big problem, and she starts to share the problem. He's like, "Well, stop it." And she tries to explain, no, I have this problem. I keep thinking of this really intense issue. He's like, stop it. And that's all he says to her over and over again. Obviously, it doesn't always feel that easy, but it's pretty good advice. But we won't tell you that, at least not like that.
But actually, it is about getting really good at stopping it. Like, not really stopping it, but dropping it, you know. Drop it like a hot potato when you notice your mind goes into it, you know, into the ego, complicated thoughts or judgments. Like the sooner you can drop it, you know, and it is about dropping it. It is not about figuring it out or analyzing it or following it. It's just to drop it and decide. And sometimes you just need to have a really determined prayer inside. Like, and sometimes that's all we can have when we feel like, you know, we slipped into the ego's thought system when we feel lost or guilty or something. You know, all you can do is pray or have the desire to come back, you know, and then wait or just stay open for a shift. That's why it's called miracles, because it feels like a miracle when it changes. Like it feels, oh wow, like, you know, like we didn't do anything to shift it. It happened, but it was actually a determination inside. It was a desire inside that called forth the miracle or the shift of perception. That's all a miracle is. It's a shift of perception from fear to love. And if you have been in a fearful perception, you notice how obvious it is. The difference is so clear. And it is like, you know, when you want only love, you will see nothing else. When you desire that experience of flow, of the right mind, of miracles, that's all you have. So when there are other experiences, there must have been a desire for guilt, for separation, for fear. And that's kind of sick, to desire the wrong mind. And it is, you know, Jesus talks about that in the Course. God's children were sick, who fell asleep and, you know, dreamt this awful nightmarish dream. That's the way he uses sickness. It's not just physical sickness, it's a sick mind. Like the mind was sick, the thought the body could be sick. You know, that's one of the lines from the Course. The mind was sick, the thought the body could be sick. The body is form. It is, you know, one of those things we are asked to overlook, to not focus on. Love is content. We focus on content, you know, to learn to only focus on content. Health is inner peace. Daniel in the train.
So yeah, I have something I want to drop as a hot potato. I think I need some help. I share with you, Jenny, that there's a bit of turbulence going on with the mother of my children at the moment. Yeah, there seemed to have been a breakthrough at some point, but today something triggered like this deep anger. I've been going through it for a couple of hours, and then it was gone. Like you shared the shift, you know, it can really feel like a miracle. It can be gone in like just a second, and you feel like, wow, I can breathe again. But then, yeah, just now in the train, another wave of like intense anger came up, and I was just thinking about like, yeah, I want to drop this, but also feel like, oh, maybe this anger also needs to be felt or something. There's like this difference in my this thought about that in my mind. Like, okay, how can I tell? Yeah. Sometimes I feel like, okay, I also have to really, because the anger is like, I can feel it in my stomach. It's like really deep anger. It's not just something like something, some train of thought I'm following or something. It's like really, yeah, it seems intense stuff that comes up. You know, I don't want to hold on to it. And as I shared in retreat as well, sometimes it feels like you have to suck it back in, like suck back the projection and then just release it in your own mind. Desperately wanted to go out towards her. And I was like reeling it back in and then just letting it go.
I mean, the ego's anger at God. That's what it is. You know, it seems to be anger at somebody, but it's always the ego's rage at God. And Actually, the word misunderstanding comes to mind. Like, it's always a misunderstanding when you're angry at someone or something. There is something that has been misunderstood, because anger isn't justified. So what did you misunderstand here? What do you feel guilty for?
Yeah, maybe I even misunderstood the whole situation. Like, it came to mind a couple of times, like maybe this is just what you also shared, just some shift happening, you know, and I can just allow it, because the release came in the airport with the thought. I can quite literally remember with the thought of maybe I can just accept the situation exactly how it is. That thought kind of just, yeah, spread in my mind, and it was like, I felt the release, because I keep trying to, yeah, kind of control her, control the situation. Yeah, that's what comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're onto it. Yeah, because there must be some fear involved. If you think you need to control her or control the situation, there's some fear of loss or lack involved. You have some investment in some outcome. But yeah, it just comes to mind too, to hand her over. Really give over to spirit.
I will continue doing that.
Yeah.
There's some ego objections.
Yeah.
I can feel it's happening. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Specialness. You can just feel the specialness. Like, I picked her out, and she needs to be okay with me. She needs to act a certain way for me to be okay. I can release us both from that. Just let it
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Release
feels
her
good.
and the kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and then the song comes to mind, Malu's beautiful song, "Let all things be exactly as they are."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Feels
See you
better.
guys. Yeah. Good to see
Sorry,
you.
I didn't catch the last thing you said.
I said I see you soon. I'll
Yes,
be over there
definitely.
soon. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
both. Thank you very much. Sweet.
Mm.
It's interesting. My internet connection just went funny as I was about to unmute, and I felt a lot of energy, and there's such a need to express. And there's also a question: is it necessary? But since the time with you and with David, there's been a flow of needing to express, and the shame came up as well. And it's shame for the focus has to do with sexuality and with a feeling of brokenness. But I suppose it's a lot more than that. There's a feeling of it's so hard to define. It's so hard to describe, and I get in lots of labyrinths. And when you spoke of dropping it, for me, it's stop trying to explain. Stop trying to find a cause or a story or something that you can hang on to. But that in itself is And that is a constant prayer that you have to be in, to not try to explain, understand, fix something that you can put in the back of your mind for a while, and then it comes up. It's still pending, it's still pending. It's always and I realize I'm not taking the opportunity to work on this. There's a lot of resistance of letting this go. I suppose it feels like the core issue, the one that's most difficult to let go of, because you're so identified with this incompleteness, or call it whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also, we have to actually allow things. We cannot let go of something that we have denied. First, we do need to let it fully up. And we may need to talk about it. And if it's been denied, we cannot let it go until it's allowed.
What's been denied, it's the impact of it, I think. And the shame has not been fully felt, and the grief has not been fully felt. So I realize that, yeah, maybe it's the time for that now. Maybe that's what's happening now. That's where I am. Yeah, something probably has been denied. And it's good for me to feel that the impulse to express is much bigger than the strong forces keeping it under the radar.
Yeah, it feels really good when you talk about it. Even if it's hard to put it into words, or, but you can do your best, and it doesn't really matter how it sounds or what words come out. I worked a lot with sexual brokenness myself. A lot. I had to talk a lot about stuff. And it wanted to go back into denial a lot. A lot. So a lot of allowance, and even prayer for it to come back up and not be in denial. And it's beautiful when you're ready. The Spirit sends the people, to join with. I did see a few hugs here with you, with, different ones. I thought that felt very pure, very healing when you were here.
Yes. And even in this space, the algorithm would have said, don't speak. But there's something allowing and loving here. So I'm very grateful to every one of you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's the mighty companionship. And there is time, there is space for it. And maybe this was your first step, and if you want to share more now, or take more time next time, or however it comes.
They sound so simple, but those two words you just said, there is time and space for this. It's really much bigger than, it has a lot of layers. There's time and space here, and there needs to be time and space in one's life as well. Because everything else is more important, right? Everything else is more important.
That's the trick, the ego's trick, to cover it up. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's the purpose of our community, is to give space, to give time and space for that type of healing, for any type of healing that is called for. Like when when you feel this desire to not push it away anymore, yeah, it can be helpful to have a space to be where it's not judged, where it is allowed, where you have time. You've been here, you've seen, we have a lot of rooms.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pilla. Where with you? I think coming together like this, it is like an exposing. We sit here together in presence, and it's very healing. Whatever thoughts you lift up, whether you speak them or not, it's actually not always about speaking them, but you lift them up to spirit. And we all are here in presence together. It's very powerful. I looked up the words. Can you imagine in the course? And 3 beautiful passages came up. The first one, can you imagine what state of mind without illusions is? How it would feel? Try to remember when there was a time, perhaps a minute, maybe even less, when nothing came to interrupt your peace. When you were certain you were loved and safe. Then try to picture what it would be like to have that moment be extended to the end of time and to eternity. Then let the sense of quiet that you felt be multiplied 100 times, and then be multiplied another 100 more. And now you have a hint, not more than just the faintest intimation of the state your mind will rest in when the truth has come. That is peace of mind. And the other one, from the 2 uses of time. Can you imagine what it means to have no cares, no worries, no anxieties, but merely to be perfectly calm and quiet all the time? You did a whole session on that. That is what time is for, to learn just that and nothing more. To learn to have no cares, no worries, no anxieties, but be perfectly calm and quiet all the time. And the third, can you imagine? Can you imagine how beautiful those who you forgive will look to you? Can you imagine how beautiful those you forgive will look to you? In no fantasy have you ever seen anything so lovely. Nothing you see here in this world, sleeping or waking, comes near to such loveliness. And nothing will you value like unto this, nor hold so dear. Nothing that you remember that made your heart sing with joy has ever brought you even a little part of the happiness this sight will bring you. This tells me, that this desire to go within, this desire clear the mind of anything that is not real, that is so valuable. Like that desire, you can honor it in you. Nothing is more important. So that you can come to this experience of a forgiven world, to see that beauty that you cannot see with your eyes. Like nothing in this world comes near. Actually, it's far from it, because everything in this world is projected not to see that, not to experience that beauty. So yeah, you know, I honor that stillness, honor that pull within. Let nothing disturb it. Let nothing disturb your desire to heal your mind. And it can be overwhelming when you do go through the healing, you know, how much comes up. It can feel overwhelming. But we just need to hang in there, moment by moment. Release the no inside. Yeah, the idea of individual illusions is something we can look at too. Because it seems like individual illusions differ. You know, the content of individual illusions differs greatly. Yet they have one thing in common: they are all insane. So it seems like, you know, you battle with your own individual illusions, and other people battle with other illusions. But they're actually just the same because they're illusions. They are made of sights that are not seen and sounds that are not heard. They make up a private world that cannot be shared. For they are meaningful only to their maker, and so they have no meaning at all. In this world, their maker moves alone, or only he perceives them. And this is this longing, this yearning for completion, for truth. You know, it's just leave them behind, leave those illusions behind. Because I don't know how many we are here today, but, you know, whatever the number is, like 14, 15, I don't know. It's like 14, 15 different worlds represented. Very, very, you know, different in content, you know. And if you identify as the maker of your world, you're alone. And this is why we expose these illusions, so we talk about them when they are tough to release them, you know, but just encourage this desire to not buy into them. And to honor your own desire for healing, releasing the illusions. What I read from now is the two emotions. He starts by saying, you have only two emotions, love and fear. And I think we need the easy way, you know, which is to identify, am I in love or in fear? That's an easy question to ask ourselves, and then ask for help. If the answer is fear, then okay, ask for help. And fear can have many forms, you know, it's millions of forms, but it's still just one thing. And we're over 20 actually. It's a lot of worlds just here, but they're starting to be lightly seen, not taken so seriously anymore. That's why this greater joining is happening. And I did think we had a very powerful lesson today. Shall we go through it?
Sounds good.
Yeah. So it's lesson 325. All things I think I see reflect ideas. All things I think I see reflect ideas. This is salvation's keynote. What I see reflects a process in my mind, which starts with my idea of what I want. So what I see outside starts with an idea in the mind of what I want. From there, the mind makes up an image of the thing the mind desires, judges valuable, and therefore seeks to find. So from this inner desire, it looks out to look for what is desired and what is valued and what it seeks to find. It makes up these images. These images are then projected outward, looked upon, esteemed as real, and guarded as one's own. From insane wishes comes an insane world. From judgment comes a world condemned. And from forgiving thoughts, a gentle world comes forth with mercy for the Holy Son of God to offer him a kindly home where he can rest a while before he journeys on and help his brothers walk ahead with him and find the way to heaven and to God. From forgiving thoughts. That's a nice world. That's a much nicer world than the world that comes from judgment. And then this prayer. Our Father, your ideas reflect the truth, and mine apart from yours but make up dreams. God, your ideas reflect the truth, and mine apart from yours but make up dreams. Let me behold what only yours reflect, for yours and yours alone establish truth. This is a prayer for single-mindedness. This prayer, let me see only what reflects your ideas, God. What is that like? It feels very clarifying, this lesson. Like he starts with the projected world, the projected universe. It's not nice. It comes from judgment. Whatever is desired within is seen outside. From insane wishes comes an insane world. It's tough to live in that world. And from forgiving thoughts comes forth a gentle world. So it feels almost like steps here, begins with the illusion, which is sometimes horrific. It's a bad reflection. And then we go towards forgiveness, and forgiven world. And then we pray to see only what God's ideas reflect. That's the highest. So in all the lessons and in this one too, it's this guiding us into a single-minded state. And it's clarifying to know all things I think I see reflect ideas. I've noticed that, like, even if we have a conversation around a certain topic, or very, very often, same day or a few hours later, something comes in around this topic, you know, as if it is random, but it's not. It's the thoughts, you know. One time I said that to David, did you notice this is what we just talked about? Yeah. Are you not getting used to that yet? Like, you know, it's the thoughts, it's the mind, it's very powerful. It's not random. That gives us back, that leads us back to responsibility for our own mind. If everything I see reflects an idea in my own mind, I cannot blame someone else. I cannot be a victim to anything. The idea must have originated inside of my own mind for me to see it. Actually, for me to make it up, you know, it's an image making, imagine, you know, it's image making. Very good to know that. And if we have difficult feelings, yeah, we can just be open, you know, open these feelings to spirit, to the light. A lot of powerful miracles await us. Maybe we just go into a meditation here at the end. Be in this stillness. be with all of you. Night. See you soon.
See you in this holy, eternal moment.
And perhaps on Saturday morning as well. Good night.
Night, everyone.